Once again, we are meeting together. It's a joy dwelling upon Savitri, whatever book it is, whatever canto it is. It's always, it's always the same. And today's epigram, as you see, another beautiful one. An attempt, a drawing half done, is the world's life. So, along with the epigram, the first title line, we'll be taking up some few more lines, and I'll just read out first the whole passage. An attempt, a drawing half done, is the world's life. Its lines doubt their concealed significance. Its curves join not their high intended close. Yet some first image of greatness trembles there. And when the ambiguous, crowded parts have met, the many-toned unity to which they moved, the artist's joy shall laugh at reason's rules. The divine intention suddenly shall be seen, the end vindicate intuition's show technique. So this is the passage we have taken today along with the epigram. And here itself I would like to tell you that after we finish these contextual lines, we'll also be sharing something as usual nowadays. Another interesting comment, or rather a long comment of Niruddha, who is said to be the scribe of Sri Aurobindo. So it's a beautiful one. But before that, first, let us dwell on the first few lines. An attempt, a drawing half done, is the word's life. Its lines doubt their concealed significance. Its curves join not their high intended close. So as it is evidently the present state of world life, as you know, we all are part of it, is evidently not the final picture of what it is intended to be. That is, the conscious power, that is the creator, whatever he has made it to be, our earth, world, is not the final picture. It is truly an incomplete drawing. And there are so many elements still to be brought in, many loose ends to be joined again to have the full picture. And whatever has been achieved so far, it is no indication, it is no index at all to the nature of truths which are pressing for manifestation on earth. So, although lot of elements from above are trying to manifest here on earth, they have not been able to find the proper expression, and that is why what we see in the world, all the happenings, all the incidents, whether it be our individual ones or the collective ones in the world, we do not see any proper link or a sequence to each other, as if they're different, separate from each other. And that is why the present appearance of the world may even give us room to doubt if there is any meaning in the world movement itself. Whatever has been happening in the world, all that is happening around us, in us, whether there is a meaning in it all. Because we do not see that finally this will be merging towards one single goal, one unity, where we can find everything prospering. No, we do not see it presently. But in fact, it is only a skeletal frame. It is like a scaffolding. Scaffolding is that, just before starting a building, what this do with bamboo sticks, they make the scaffolding upon which the main structure is gradually built up. So our world is like a scaffolding, a frame which is just formed, and there is much needed to be done to see it coming into a proper shape in which we can understand something better. Yet some first image of greatness trembles there. Maybe in our life, everything appears to be a mixture of opposites, contraries, and all disorder, complex, as if they're moving towards some end which we know not where to, because we do not have any insight that beyond the physical side there might be something which is slowly growing up, even though we do not see it happening now, because we do not have the insight, this vision to see beyond the physical ones. But again, even though it is so, a careful eye, a discerning eye, cannot fail to see something, perceive something that is a faint outline of a marvelous edifice which is being made up. Because we do not see the whole picture, because all the parts are separate from each other, all the events, all the elements are separate from each other, we do not see the whole picture, but it is slowly building up into something very concrete. And finally, that will be the beginning of an eventual efflorescence, flourishing of light, bliss, harmony, which is awaiting us. We cannot say that because we do not see it happening now, right now, there cannot be anything like that. We cannot say it. Then the poet says, Sri Aurobindo says, and when the ambiguous crowded parts have met, the many-toned unity to which they moved, the artist's joy shall laugh at reason's rules. All these innumerable elements that are strewn about in the world appears to be utterly different from each other, as we said just now. And in this, what we did, we human mind, with our logical reason, can see only and envisage a growing division, as if all are becoming more and more separate, having more and more divisions among themselves without any coherence. However, there is a concealed intelligence which is working from behind all the time. And nature is steadily moving towards that direction to achieve it. Because, again, as we know, what is nature? It is the executive aspect of the Divine Mother. So, although we do not see it happening with our physical eyes, had we had this sense, not these physical ones, the subtle sense, the subtle vision of things, then we would have been able to see all that is being slowly, gradually built up, which will finally give shape to the great unity, which is the ultimate aim of the creation itself. The harmony, the bliss, where all that is seemingly evidently the things here on earth, in this world, they will lose what they used to be and finally be marching towards one single goal of the Creator, the conscious power rather, and that is the union of matter with the soul, the super soul or oversoul. Because when the earth was created, it is nothing but the process of the divine extending himself, projecting himself out of nothing, out of the void, into matter. So, even if we see at present that all are different, separate, having divisions, they are poised to grow into a single union which is led by the divinity itself. And finally, the divine intention suddenly shall be seen, the end vindicate intuition's sure technique. So it is the culminating stages only that the purpose of this creation will come to be fully demonstrated. I think in 1956, there was a message from the mother which pinpointedly says, I do not quote the exact words, I don't remember, but basically it is that although the world, the humanity at present have doubts, disbeliefs, or whatever, in their bag. They have a lot of things in their bag, means the mind. Uh, a day will come when the most blind, the most doubting people, all those people who do not believe in the divine manifestation, they will be compelled to see, not only see, but oblige also the working of the supramental manifestation upon earth. I do not remember the exact, I'll have to look out for that, the exact wordings. However, it is just like that. So it is plain and sure that the day is not far. Maybe 250 or 300 years hence, but that is not a period long enough in terms of the process of evolution, because it's a very long process, evolution of earth consciousness. But since it has already been intervened in the process, the process has been precipitated, and we are going to see with our bare eyes what is, or what will be the things of tomorrow. And there are ample cue indications towards that end, if we only keep our eyes open. Not the physical eyes, of course. A little bit of intuition should be there, which will definitely take us to the next level of seeing, that is intuition. So we'll be able to see everything, that's for sure. So that's it for today. So far as this epigram is concerned. And then, as I said, I'll also like to share with you some interesting wordings of Niruddha. In fact, I cannot restrain myself from reading all these, because, I know a lot of people do not have time to go through all these. But if somebody else reads it out for them, so that will be, of course, beneficial. And I also take part in this, very joyingly, of course. So it goes like this, Niruddha's words. I desist from giving my own impression of the incomparably peak. I have no such competence, and though I have been made a poet by the master, I leave it to more efficient authorities. He doesn't consider himself as authority, but he is said to be the scribe. Just mark it, scribe of Sri Aurobindo. One fact alone makes me dumb with a reverent awe and exalted admiration. The colossal labor Sri Aurobindo put forth to build this unique structure. It reminds me of one of those majestic ancient temples like Konark, or of a Gothic architecture like Notre Dame. Notre Dame, in France, before which you stand and stare in speechless ecstasy. Your soul takes a flight beyond time and space. Before I knew much about Sri Aurobindo, I asked him in my foolish way, why, himself being the master of inspiration and having all higher planes at his command, sending inspiration to others, should he still have to work so hard? With his consciousness entirely silent, he had only to hitch to the right source and words, images, ideas would tumble down in a Brahmaputra of inspiration. So it used to flow down like anything, when Sri Aurobindo took up Savitri, started writing, everything flowed in from above. So there is the analogy of Brahmaputra, to which he answered in his habitual indulgent tone, perhaps a bit piqued by my facile observation. The highest planes are not so accommodating as all that. If they were so, why should it be so difficult to bring down and organize the supermind in the physical consciousness? What happy go lucky, fancy web spinning ignoramuses you all are. Chiding. You speak of silence, consciousness, overmental, supramental, etc., as if there were so many electric buttons you have only to press, and there you are. It may be one day, but meanwhile, I have to discover everything about the working of all possible modes of electricity, all the laws, possibilities, perils, etc., construct modes of connection and communication, make the whole far wiring system, try to find out how it can be made foolproof, and all that in the course of a lifetime. And I have to do it while my blessed disciples are firing off their gay or gloomy a priori reasonings at me from a position of entire irresponsibility and expecting me to divulge everything to them, not in hints, but at length. Lord, God in omnibus. Then, with regard to hard labor on Savitri, he wrote, that is very simple. I used Savitri as a means of ascension. I began with it on a certain mental level. Each time I could reach a higher level, I rewrote from that level. Moreover, I was particular. If parts seemed to come from any lower levels, I was not satisfied to leave it because it was good poetry. All had to be as far as possible of the same mint. In fact, Savitri has not been regarded by me as a poem to be written and finished, but as a field of experimentation to see how far poetry could be written from one's own yogic consciousness and how that could be made creative. I did not write Rose of God or the sonnets except for 2 or 3 vowel alterations made at the moment. Within brackets, Nirodbaran's question to Sri Aurobindo was, we have been wondering why you should have to write and rewrite your poetry, for instance, Savitri, 10 or 12 times, when you have all the inspiration at your command and do not have to receive it with the difficulty that faces budding yogis like us. That was 29th March 1936. All this was written to me in 1936. Since then, the work proceeded slowly and gradually until 1938 and 1950. He succeeded to a great extent in achieving what he aimed at, as stated in the letter above. I'm sure if he had more time at his disposal and could work by himself, he would have tried to raise it to his ideal of perfect perfection. As it is, Savitri is, I suppose, the example par excellence of the future poetry he speaks of in his book, The Future Poetry. Founder of the New Age, pioneer in the field of poetry, as in many others, he has left us an inexhaustible heritage of words, images, ideas, suggestions, and hints about which we can only say, here is God's plenty. Rameshwar Gupta very aptly calls it eternity in words, that is Savitri. Generation after generation will drink in its soul's nectar from this perennial source, that is Savitri. The lifespan of the English language itself has increased 1,000-fold. Shakespeare, it is said, increased the lifespan of the English language by centuries. Sri Aurobindo said about Shakespeare, the kind of spear does not shake everywhere. Now we find another far greater that will shake the world to its very roots. If for no other reason, the English speaking races ought to be eternally grateful to the supreme poet of the grand epic for his miracle. Sri Aurobindo, quoting in the future poetry these lines of an Elizabethan poet, I'll just read out those lines. Or who can tell for what great work in hand the greatness of our style is now ordained? What powers it shall bring in, what spirits command? So he writes, it has since brought in many powers, commanded many spirits. But it may be that the richest powers, the highest and greatest spirit, yet remain to be found and commanded. I believe that Sri Aurobindo's Savitri, Niruddha says now, I believe that Sri Aurobindo's Savitri fulfills the sovereign potentiality he has foreseen. Dr. Piper of Syracuse University says about Savitri that it already has inaugurated the new age of illumination and is probably the greatest epic in the English language, the most comprehensive, integrated, beautiful, and perfect cosmic poem ever composed. It ranges symbolically from primordial cosmic void, though Earth's darkness and through Earth's darkness and struggles, to the highest realms of supramental spiritual existence, and illumines every important concern of man. Through verse of unparalleled massiveness, magnificence, and metaphorical brilliance. Savitri is perhaps the most powerful artistic work in the world for expanding man's mind towards the absolute. The mother has pronounced the last word on Savitri. I quote some extracts from a long talk on it to a young aspirant. Before writing Savitri, Sri Aurobindo told me, I'm impelled to launch on a new adventure. I was hesitant in the beginning, but now I am decided. Still, I do not know how far I shall succeed. And the day on which he actually started, he said, I have launched myself in a rudderless boat upon the vastness of the infinite. Then again, Mother says, He has crammed the whole universe in a single book. It is a marvelous, magnificent work and of an incomparable perfection. It is a revelation, a meditation, and seeking of the infinite and the eternal. Each verse of Savitri is like a mantra which surpasses man's entire knowledge, and the words are used and arranged in such a fashion that the sound of the rhythm itself takes you to the original sound of Om. Everything is there: mysticism, occultism, philosophy, history of evolution, history of man, gods, of the creation, and of nature. Savitri is the spiritual path, the tapasya, sadhana, everything in its unique body. It has an extraordinary power. It is the truth in all its plenitude that he has brought down here on earth. These are his own experiences, the realities, the supracosmic truths. He has experienced them as one does the joy and the pain in a physical manner. He was walked in the darkness of inconscience, even stepped near death, endured the sufferings of hell, and he has come out of the mud, earthly misery, in order to breathe the sovereign plenitude and enter into the supreme Ananda. He has crossed all these kingdoms, accepted all the consequences, suffered and endured physically what none can imagine. None up till now has suffered like him. He has accepted the suffering to transform it into the joy of union with the Supreme. So, that is Niruddha, recounting all those things. Now you can well imagine that whatever we are today, whatever light we have seen in life, even it be in a very flickering way, that is not the end of it. Because, in fact, as the last line says, he has accepted the suffering to transform it into the joy of union with the Supreme. Sri Aurobindo, together with the Mother, have shouldered everything only in order that their children, we fellow beings, can tread the path much more easily with facile steps. Otherwise, it would have been, I'm sure about it, it would have been a different story altogether. You might remember all those incidents about yogis of the earlier times. Even to achieve a little bit siddhi in those old days, how much trouble they had to face in their life. But today, for you and me, and for that matter, all living on earth, whoever is eager to see the greater light which is gradually showing up, lighting our lives, not like the previous ones, we will surely be treading with bold steps, having entire faith and trust on the Master and the Mother Divine. So that's it. If you have something, please. All right.